Hello and welcome to my impromptu animation / psychoanalysis of the drug trip sequence from Helluva Boss Episode 6, Truth Seekers. I don't really have a whole lot of evidence or research to back this up. This is all very off the cuff and just based off of my personal knowledge of animation and symbolism. So I will likely miss some things. If you hear anything I'm saying and want to add to it or dispute it, I would love to hear it. I certainly like when people do cool things with animation, and I like when people use interesting symbolisms. So I wanted to break down just that scene, just that one, like 2-minute scene from Helluva Boss, because they did a lot of cool stuff in it. And I'm going to start with Moxie's Phantom of the Opera scene, where Moxie is climbing up these stairs to reach a masked Blitzo. Or Blitz. Sorry, the O is silent. That's what I've heard. So, Moxie, in this sequence, a lot of these things are supported by the dialogue that they're saying, or the visuals are used to further accentuate the exposition that is being said. So a lot of these things are going to be like, duh, they said that. But I just wanted to point out their relevance to the scene and their artistic decisions, the way that I have interpreted them. They may not be the correct, but I have seen them this way and have chosen to believe that this is the case. Moxie's portrayal of Blitz as the Phantom from the Phantom of the Opera is very telling about how Moxie views Blitz as a person. It is not the first time in Helluva Boss that Moxie has likened Blitz to Phantom of the Opera. If you remember, in one of the episodes, I think it's the one before this one, Moxie's ringtone for Blitz is the boo 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 from Phantom of the Opera. So this is not a new correlation that Moxie has made, and I don't think it is accidental that they have made this correlation. Aside from the obvious physical aspects, the face mask and all that jazz, Blitz and the Phantom have a lot of personal, or rather situational, correlations, story-wise, character-wise. They are both people who hold themselves off away from others, Phantom in a physical sense because of his, I guess, deformation. And I've never seen Phantom of the Opera, so I might be a little ill-informed of the Phantom's motives. I don't even know his name. What little I know is that he's definitely hold himself off away from people, and Blitz does the same thing, but like I said, instead of a physical sense, he does it in an emotional sense, where he keeps everyone away at arm's length. And this is just expressed artistically in Moxie's drug trip by the long winding staircase that he is using as a deterrent for people to stay away from him. Of course anyone is welcome, or at least from Moxie's point of view, he's worth the work to go into, to climb the staircase in order to be close to his boss and have a more healthy friendship rather than a boss and subordinate type relationship. That climb to bridge the gap between them is seen as an enlightening and beneficial trek, as can be seen by all the candles and stuff which are used to light his way. Even though it is a precarious and dangerous thing, it is ultimately something that he wants to do, so it is his path is spread for him. In addition to the very obvious Phantom of the Opera references, I think there is a maybe not so obvious reference in the style of animation itself. I think a lot of people have clocked it as being Disney inspired, but I would be so inclined to believe that it is actually inspired by Don Bluth, and there are a couple little tells here and there. Don Bluth's style of animation tends to be fleshier and even a little more whimsical, with specific examples you can see in this shot. He has neck folds, and he is very exaggerated with his pursing O mouth, which is a big tell for Don Bluth people. I think they've even memed it. It's like the DreamWorks smirk or whatever. Another spot later, the stretching of the neck on Blitz when Moxie has finally made his way there and reached an understanding, which contributes to the fleshiness of the animation, which again I think is more Don Bluth than Disney. Not that that helps it too much. I think that it only helps it to the degree that there's somewhat of a correlation between that choice of animation and Blitz's choice of animation. We are going to move on to Blitz's drug trip analysis. It's gonna be a lot harder for me because there's no real obvious place to start. There's so many things to unpack, from animation to the symbolism. We can, however, start with Moxie. Moxie in this little sequence goes back and forth from being a little stick scribble drawing to a fully fledged person, or demon or imp or whatever. And even later on, he goes from directly morphing from his little scribble into a princess. Both of these are obviously how Blitz views Moxie, and I think that it's very interesting that it goes from something so prim and proper to the little scribbly doodle. And of course that could just be for funsies, but I think it's actually a indication to the inner mechanisms of how Blitz works. So Blitz deals with some sort of self-esteem issue, one way or the other. Self-esteem is a double-edged sword, or at least how my understanding of how it is dealt with, as you see yourself as simultaneously inferior and superior to those around you. And I think that in that way it is being portrayed in Moxie by reducing him to nothing but a scribble. You know, whenever he's feeling all superior at the start, the more that he's enduring these encounters with all these people, he's realizing, oh man, I ain't shit. I ain't nothing. Moxie is far superior to me in all ways. And I don't think that's necessarily true, but I think that because he portrays at the end Moxie as a princess, which really shows like how high he holds Moxie in his mind, and how low he sees himself. Another interesting thing about how Blitz portrays himself in this sequence versus how Moxie portrays Blitz is that they are basically responding to the same issue, but they have interpreted Blitz differently. Both of the sequences are talking about Blitz's inability to form real meaningful connections, but in Moxie's portrayal, he shows him as being very prickly and sharp, which from an outside perspective makes sense because it is a defense mechanism and it can be seen as harmful to those around them, like a cactus. You know, he puts up walls and stuff to keep himself safe, but from the inside where Blitz is standing, he has all of his sharp angles are rounded. His horns are rounded, his fingers are rounded, his teeth are rounded. Everything about his design has been rounded because where he's sitting, his inability to become close to others is seen as a vulnerability and a weakness. and I think both of them would say that it is a flaw, but it is definitely a different perspective to see it as a flaw and to see it as a weakness. He's putting up a facade in order, he sees his facade as a weakness, his facade to keep himself safe from others and to keep himself safe from the heartbreak and rejection that comes with becoming close to other people. I keep saying people even though they're imps. That's okay. So I think the final thing I'm going to talk about is the final little act where he is beaten down and broken down by those around him. First he's beaten by Strider, which was somebody that he grew to respect, only to have that blow up in his face upon realizing that Strider was a bad guy. And then he is harassed by the Fizzarali, and then he is harassed by Verosica, all people that I assume he was closest with in the past, till he is given this illusion of salvation in the form of a staircase to Solus, in which he in which he continues to climb further and further up to meet him. And as he does so, he becomes chained and bound into this relationship that he's definitely not used to and would likely under any other circumstance run away. But due to the nature of their quid pro quo, he is smothered and trapped and a slave to this romantic intimacy that he is it would seem conflicted about. I'm not sure if it's necessarily something that he enjoys, but it is something that he craves, and that's why it is put on a high pedestal, because it is something he wants and something that maybe he may or may not need, but it is a corrupt version of that thing, which is why at the end when he pushes Moxie away, his salvation melts from in front of him. It's putting a band-aid on the bigger issue being that he is unable to form a close personal relationship, and the closest thing that he has to one is the strictly sexual relationship that he has with Stolas. And going back to this staircase theme, in Moxie's little stair adventure, he ends up going up the stairs as well to try to reach Blitz in the same way that he does in Blitz's hallucination. But the key difference is that in Moxie's hallucination, Moxie actually makes it to Blitz and they get closer, as to where in Blitz's he cuts Moxie off, leaving him with nothing, just smothered by the ideas and almost addictive nature of what he has going on with Stolas. It seems as though Blitz's is more of a cautionary tale that whenever you push people away, you will end up smothered with your loneliness, and only so much casual sex can comfort you. And that's kind of all I have to say on the matter. I would definitely like to hear what any of you guys have to say about the sequence as a whole. It was very interesting to me, and I wasn't going to make this video because I think Helluva Boss is kind of hard either way. There are people who really like it and people who really hate it, and I really don't have strong feelings for it either way. I just kind of like it, and I think it's good and fun to watch. But I'm not committed enough to make like all kinds of videos about it or anything. I just did this one little psychoanalysis review because there was a lot of cool stuff that I wanted to share and I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. So please let me know your thoughts, and feel free to give me any of the other things that you noticed from, I guess, this sequence specifically, or anything animation wise, because it's super interesting to me, even based off of my little knowledge of symbolism and stuff like that. And I will see everyone in the next video.